here's another couple of guys with a podcast. Let's see how it is.
So, today we're on location in Seinan University.
Yeah, which is in part of Fukuoka,
Yep.
Japan.
And we are at the LTP English Language Teaching Convention.
Which is my fault because it's actually called the ETJ. I thought the name would change, so
Okay.
sorry about that. That was my fault, but yeah.
And, we're diving into different topics today, all dad and related to being dads and challenges they faced, and just asking people about what their experiences have been, and we're finding out some different perspectives and talking to people we haven't talked to before, I think.
Absolutely. So I wouldn't say that we're a long-form podcast in any way, but this is a really mini podcast because we basically have questions in the hat.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick one now. How do you... No, that's boring. Okay, choose another one. What's your experience with Japanese play? No. Something deeper.
We've got
Or
some
fun.
challenging questions in here.
Yeah. This is good. How do you balance passing on your own culture while raising kids in Japan?
These are not easy questions.
No. We will have some great answers, hopefully.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. And so stick around as we explore what it means to be a dad in Japan and raising kids and making language learning a natural part of everyday life.
Yeah. And a big thanks to ETJ, Tristan, and David for letting us be here today. It's going to be fun. Looking forward to it.
Thanks very much, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For listening. What's your name, sir?
Travis McTeer, otherwise known as Tora-chan.
So what do you do, Travis? I mean, you're a dad.
I'm a dad.
Yeah. How many siblings? Not siblings. Offspring.
Well, 2 daughters.
Wow.
Both of adult age now, as I'm getting on in years.
Fantastic.
So-
And have you raised them here in Japan?
Yes, exclusively.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have they had any time back in Canada?
Very rarely. My older daughter spent a year and a couple months
Okay.
in high school there, but it didn't work out for her. So she came
Okay.
back and graduated from a national university here in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just really curious about that. What didn't work out? I mean, if it's not too deep.
No. More or less homestay
Okay.
was a bit of a problem.
Right.
And she had excelled really well at school. And in the year that she went there, she went from being in the D level of English ability because she'd lived in Japan up until that point,
Sure.
to taking regular grade 12 classes.
Okay.
So she was fluent by the time she came back.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it sounds like there was a win there then.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
of my children were raised at home primarily in English.
Right.
And so my wife speaks English fluently.
Yep.
So both my daughters are well-known English speakers.
Great.
So
Great.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing something different today.
Oh.
Please choose a question. Could be deep, could be serious, could be funny. What have you got there?
What have
Want
I
to
got
read that
here?
out for us?
What's the funniest or most unexpected thing your child has said to you?
Don't worry, we have the explicit on our podcast, so go for it.
My daughters are speaking English fluently with a little bit of a truck driver accent or a fisherman, depending where you're from. And I had done something. I had made something in the kitchen, and I put it down, and my youngest daughter took a bite and looked up at me, and she said, "Daddy, what the fuck is this?"
Beautiful.
And my wife was like, "Oh my God, did you just say that?" And I sheepishly said, "I wonder where she learned that language."
There you go.
But yeah, my daughters are, fluent in truck driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it is because in Japan there's such an absence of swear words. Why it's so funny when my kids predominantly, but also friends' kids swear. I just think it's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it is funny. So,
Yeah. I was shocked when I said to my younger daughter, she's got the little bit more of a truck driver mouth. Well, how about your boyfriend so-and-so? And my daughter looked at me and she said, that douchebag? I was like, oh, so you guys aren't going out anymore? She said, well, obviously not, Daddy. Okay.
Daughters.
Yeah, daughters.
Yeah. I have one myself.
Ah,
So we're here today at this. It is called ETJ, isn't it?
Yes.
I thought it changed to something else. But okay, so we're here at the ETJ Expo.
Yep.
And you've just done a presentation. What were you talking about today?
Well, I was talking about the joys and pitfalls of opening up your own food business here in Japan.
And what is the name of your business?
Canada Kitchen.
And where can we find it? Where can we try it?
We have it in Tsuyazaki. The trailer is in Tsuyazaki, and the restaurant is at Kyushu
Fantastic.
very close to the station.
And what kind of culinary delights can we expect?
Well, I'm from the west coast of British Columbia, Vancouver Island to be exact. And
We have another one here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, awesome. Where are you from?
Campbell River.
Ah, okay. I have a great friend who lives in Campbell River. I'm from Victoria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've lived there as well because we all migrate down
Sure.
to Victoria
Yeah.
before we jump across the pond to Japan.
yeah.
But because we have a lot of good seafood
Mm-hmm.
in our stretch,
Yep.
I decided to put out fish and chips
Ah,
as the first thing. But I
Sure.
also am famous for my churros now, pulled pork because I love barbecuing, and I try and do a whole bunch of other things to keep the masses happy.
sure.
Yeah.
What kind of fish do you use for your fish and chips?
Right now, I'm using Suzuki.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
but
That's,
I have been known to use Hedai,
Mhm.
and it depends on the time of year.
Mhm.
I get some other fish in, but sometimes you have to go skanky and buy the fish from Costco,
Yeah.
and so that's tilapia.
Okay.
Oddly enough, many Japanese people prefer the tilapia
Okay.
because it's a very mild tasting fish.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so, how long have you been in business for then?
I've been doing the food business for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have the biggest challenges been so far?
Labor, and labor. Labor cost is the biggest
Yeah.
thing that if I could roll back the clock 5 years, I would do it all myself.
Okay. Yep.
Because I think when you go into business, you think, well, I don't know if I can pull this off. And if there's more people to help spread the shit around,
Sure.
it's not too bad. But now I do everything myself, and
Okay.
it's much, much easier, much less stress.
Sure.
And you can't point fingers at anybody.
Right.
You can point them at yourself and say, well, you forgot to buy buns, doofus.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, but it's really rewarding in that these pitfalls come along. But I'm lucky I live in Fukutsu. There's a great baker in Fukutsu who makes all my buns custom.
Oh wow.
I get my fish from the port, which is 800 meters down the road.
Nice.
So I've got a lot of benefits for being there.
And if people wanted to find you on the social medias, are you on any of the
Yep,
channels?
I'm
there?
on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, under Canada Kitchen.
Okay, Canada
Yep.
Kitchen. Great.
Yeah, and they just look for the red and white, which
Yep.
is my brand's colors.
Awesome.
As a good Canadian would know, Joel.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Torta-chan?
Torta-chan.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for joining us here. And Duncan, you want to give me your last words?
So, no, I did have one question.
yes.
You said in your presentation you have to be very cautious of what works in Japan and what doesn't.
Yes.
I think you gave an example. Poutine didn't work.
Poutine didn't work.
Fish and chips. There's a Japanese way of doing it. We've probably tested it out, right? Is yours changed for Japan, or would you say you've kept it the way you would do it in Canada?
I kept it the way many people on the west coast of Canada and the east coast of Canada are descendants of immigrants from England or Scotland or Ireland. But I kind of kept mine more traditionally British.
Right.
Not breaded, but battered.
Yep.
And it's the outside is nice and crunchy, and the
Nice.
inside is nice and soft.
Nice.
So you get the saku and the fua, which is, I don't know how we translate that into English. Crunchy and soft, I guess. I don't know, but
a good balance, maybe.
yeah, and that works well for Japanese people who,
Yeah.
Japanese people who have never tried it
Yeah.
try it and say, "Oh, this is good.
Yeah.
I've never had fish this way before."
Right.
The problem is getting them to try it.
Yeah. And you don't have any of that today, right?
Sorry,
Making
sorry.
it- But you've got something here, right? What have you got here today?
I've got scones
Yep.
or scones, depending where you're from, and muffins.
Awesome.
And so the scones are from my grandmother's recipe.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And so I'm trying to keep things going. My daughter will make them after she kills me, after I die.
All right.
Whichever.
Well, we'll go and try some of those later, right, Joel? All right.
Right.
Thanks again, Travis. Really
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Thanks. Cheers.
All right.
Introduce yourself. What's your name,
All
sir?
right, I'm Ryan Hageland, and I've been in Japan 26 years now. I have 3 sons. They are 20, 17, and 16.
There we go. And they've been raised predominantly here in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The vast majority of the time in Japan.
Because
correct.
we were just talking a little bit off air, and I've obviously got my big thing coming up with the kids going abroad for a year. You said you've done 6-month installments kind of thing.
Yeah, what we did is, starting with our oldest when he was just joining first grade, in U.S. years, took all the kids back
Right.
for 6. My wife went back with him for 6 months, and I stayed, in Japan because I had to work. And then 2 years later, when our second son started first grade, and then the oldest was third, and then one more time
Got it.
when the youngest
Great.
was in first grade. Yeah.
And they went into American school.
They went into the American school, so they were there about August through January. January, February.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the point that I found really interesting that you mentioned was that the sort of impact of that 6 months lasted for about 2 years, you were saying?
We found it would last for about 2 years, and what I mean by that is, for about 2 years, they would be conversing with me in the house and my wife in English, no problem. And then after about 2 years, they wanted to start speaking Japanese again.
Yeah.
But then they would go, and it would recharge them.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you also told me that one of your sons now is full-time studying in the US, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's for college, university.
Well, he actually became Fukuoka when he was in junior high school.
right.
And when we were talking, he realized that if he stayed in Japan as well, that would continue.
Right.
So we found family so that he did 4 years of high school in the U.S.
Right.
He had to redo, so he was 1 year later.
Got it.
Because, and just complete change.
Right.
Where in Japan, he was Fukuoka, and in the U.S., by the last year he graduated, he was vice president of the student body.
Wow. That's
and
a
stuff.
journey.
It was just complete. He just needed to be in the right place for his personality.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's oldest.
That is my oldest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you found that his younger brothers feel differently. They're
Completely differently. Yeah. Right now, my middle son is second year high school. Youngest is first year of high school, and the youngest is doing very well in Japan. He knows which university he wants to go to and what he wants to do, and that. I mean, whether or not that pans out, we'll find out. And the middle son has been very, very big on staying in Japan. He's now, coming that maybe he'll go to the U.S. or maybe not, but it's not like Japan. It's not that Japan is the better fit for kids or the U.S. It depends on
true.
each individual.
Yeah.
Or do you try to steer them in any one direction? Or
Well, I try not to. I'm sure I'm doing it not realizing, not intentionally. I try not to, but of course the advice, in talking with my oldest son, he's having trouble going to school here. So yeah, we were encouraging him to go to the U.S. But it was because of his situation, not,
sure.
How was the separation? Because I guess it was only him for those 4 years. You and your wife and his brothers were here in Japan.
Correct.
How often was he coming back, or were you visiting?
He would be back here about once a year. He'd come back for the summer.
Yeah.
Occasionally Christmas.
Sure.
It was hard being apart, but at the same time, when you watch the difference in how well he was doing, there's it's kind of lonely not having him here, but he is so much better off over there.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any concerns for his safety or well-being while he was there? No, never entered your mind.
No, not really. I mean, he was in a fairly rural part of the U.S.
Yep.
And he's got a head on his shoulders.
Yep.
He's at the University of Washington now, which is in Seattle, but
Sure. Yep.
but anything can happen anywhere.
Sure.
In
Yep.
America, sure, you are safer in Japan than in the U.S., but that doesn't mean you're unsafe in America.
Sure.
True. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. And obviously, I know that siblings can be different anyway, personality-wise. But I guess you've got the possibility of seeing both your oldest and next one down, same age, one of them having done high school in Japan, one of them having done high school in America. Do you see any sort of differences you think have been influenced by that difference, the education difference?
And how much of it is education and how much of it is personality, of course, it's hard to say.
It's hard, right?
But definitely, my oldest is more proactive.
Right.
Like just starting and doing new things. But one of the reasons I think he had trouble in the Japanese junior high school is that everything was so regimented.
Yeah.
And when he is you have to do this and you have to do this now and whatever, that's just hard for him. Whereas when he went and he was able to have the freedom to try new things, that really, really, that opened things up for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the Japanese system tends to encourage students who are not quite as proactive.
Yes.
Not quite as much like, hey, I'm going to go out and try this.
Yep.
It's, kind of we'll see what's happening,
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a little gimmick here today.
Okay.
And,
all right.
that is if you reach into the hat here,
Okay.
maybe pull out a
We've
question.
gotta pull out a question. All right.
Yeah.
I'll reach somewhere in the middle here. Let's see what we got. All right. Okay.
Read out the question for us.
What's the most ridiculous tantrum your kid has thrown in public?
Hopefully, this is going to be going back a few years. I hope.
Yeah. This one, yeah. Shoot, I'm trying to think. Well, I remember my youngest son. If I can try and remember the details, but I remember one time there was a dessert.
Oh yeah.
That he didn't want to eat, and he was just having it because I think he was just like, I don't want to eat it. We were not even trying because it's dessert. We're not trying to force it. I don't want to eat it. And I just remember looking at him and saying, okay, well then I'll eat it for you. And then like his eyes opened. He's like, oh, Dad, what? No, I want to eat it. It was just, he was in that moment of just that, the hung koki, just opposing everything.
Yeah. Just want to be difficult.
Just wanting to be difficult. And the moment he realized, it's not something Dad is forcing me to do.
Yeah.
Dad actually wants to. No, I do want it.
Yeah. Well, I noticed today they've got a sandwich stall set up and they're using that wholemeal Costco bread, which I love.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get my kids to have it because they love that white sweet bread.
Oh, yeah.
And I've tried. And now I'm just eating it. My son the other day saw it, looking lovely with butter, and he's like, actually, I want that, Daddy. I'm like, there you go. I see how to do this. There you go. So,
is there any way you promote? I'm not sure what it is you do here, actually.
well, actually, Ryan, we are giving a chance for a bit of a plug.
Okay.
A lot of guys that listen are in the education world and owners and stuff. So maybe the new independent teacher.
Yeah. I mean, what we're doing out of my, I run a school called My English School, which is also called, and one of the things I've always, the school would not be where we are now, but for the support and interaction with other school owners and other teachers, and trying to continue that. I had been president of the JALT School Owners SIG. That has been folding now, and we're doing independent owners and teachers.
Okay.
And it's a group, independentowners.jp is the website.
Great.
But yeah, a group to give resources and help to school owners so that we're not doing it alone.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, it's
That
really
sounds
valuable.
great.
I mean, I haven't been to this yet because it's so new, but been to the SIGs, been to ETJ, have a Kaiwa Owners Forum. And you do just learn so much from other people. So it's really worthwhile.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.
Yeah,
Really
thanks,
appreciate
Thank
Ryan.
you very much.
Cheers. Enjoy the rest of the expo.
You as well.
Thank you.
Right.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers. And we're back. I've got Darcy in front of me. Darcy and I have known each other for, I guess we started teaching together back in
2011, 2011,
or
yeah,
12. Yeah. So what do you do now?
Well, now I am an English teacher at in junior high school. I'm a NS teacher, as it's called, in the Fukuoka Board of Education system. I work for a dispatch company, currently the largest dispatch company here, Interac.
Okay.
But kind of the way things go with contracts is bounced around between one of the two dispatch companies over the past couple of years, depending about who has the BOE contract here in Fukuoka.
Okay. All right. And how are you finding that compared to teaching younger kids like we used to do?
Well, it's a little less hectic. I certainly know from with the NS teaching, there is. I do junior high school. I know that there's some that do the elementary, and I've occasionally filled in at elementary. I know that's actually closer to their experience,
Right.
just without much control of the material.
Sure.
But in terms of junior high school, I do kind of, my own personality kind of meshes a bit better with a bit older kids.
Sure.
I think even back when I was at Raymond Bridges, some of the classes I was more enjoyed were some of the ones with, like, I can remember I was sent out to do some of the older kids for some time. But yeah, those were a bit more comfortable. I don't know. I just kind of like a bit of the older kids' personality for the most part.
Would you say that teaching younger kids gave you some hands first experience into your own children, and raising them? I mean, you have 2 children, right?
Yes. I have a daughter who's 9 and a son who's currently 5.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd say it's, especially because my son's pretty rambunctious. When I think back of some of the classes, especially classes where I was teaching alone in like Waijiro and teaching community center alone and just having to deal with some of the boys there.
Yeah. Always a handful.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so certainly in terms of my son, very similar.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And you have an interesting household in that you speak 3 languages in your home. Is that right?
Yes. Well, I'm Canadian. My wife is from Vietnam.
Okay.
She's actually been in Japan longer than I have. She's been here since 2008. She came here as a undergraduate student and has stayed ever since.
Okay. Wow.
And she speaks fluent Japanese too. So we've got 2 kids that are in the Japanese school system, so they're speaking Japanese at school, and they come home and they're speaking English with me. And then with my wife, it's usually a mixture of English and Japanese and Vietnamese.
Wow.
She definitely tries to use Vietnamese with them as much as possible to try and get them to use that.
Sure. Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, bilingual is one thing, trilingual is completely other. And is there one language that they latch onto more than another?
I think that my daughter's kind of latched on to Japanese, although I'd say like Vietnamese isn't bad, and she communicates frequently in Vietnamese with my wife too. My son seems to be a lot more fluent in English. Certainly, my children talk to each other in Japanese. But my son, certainly I've noticed, like, when it comes to Vietnamese with my wife, it'll be a bit of a pidgin, it'll be a bit of a Japanese, Vietnamese mix.
Okay.
And I've noticed that as well in terms of English, that he'll do a bit of an English-Japanese mix.
Oh, really?
With my daughter, as well as I've learned from talking to school, even with his schoolmates, that his schoolmates evidently have some trouble understanding him because he will talk in a bit of a mixture of, it's basically a mix of Japanese, a mixture of English, and obviously his classmates are.
Yeah, that's wild. What do you think that might? How do you think that might influence or affect their sense of identity in the future?
That's something I'm really curious about. I don't know, because like their identity is like they're Canadian. Like that's their documents. We haven't because
Passports.
Passports.
Canadian,
All its sort of documentation is all Canadian. They're registered here in Japan as Canadian. And because they can't they're born here in Japan, but they can't become Japanese citizens, and neither of their parents are Japanese. And also the process actually for being Vietnamese is a little bit difficult. so they're Canadian almost by default, even though that's a place that they've only visited every 3 years, kind of like I think
Right.
my daughter's been there 3 times, and my son once, I think, because he was born just before COVID, so he's only had one chance to go back since. And they've actually been to Vietnam probably a lot more.
Oh, wow.
Because it's closer.
Sure. Yep.
And until recently, my wife was employed at a college here, and she'd frequently go back for business trips. And even after, like, maybe about 2 years after COVID started, they started to restart the business trips and such. So, so both my children have been usually going with her and
Sure.
like for a week here, a week there.
Yeah. I guess it's early days to try to pin down a nationality or something like that. But do you have any sense of idea of where you might want them to be in the future, or where they might want to be in the future? Probably pretty early, I guess, for that.
Yeah, it's like my general sense, just kind of watching it, like, is that I actually think that their identity is actually primarily Japanese. Actually, I think it's language. I think like in terms of like the culture, like the stuff, like my daughter likes to do like mimic the dancing to like Idol or what was the other song? Show by Ado. So
okay.
like Idol by Yasoba, or like like I mentioned it, like
Yawasobi, I think.
Yeah.
That
So
one. Yeah.
so they're definitely plugged into like the what was the manga and anime, the Spy
Family?
Yeah, Spy
Yep.
Family is
Yep.
something that she's. So it's a lot of these cultural things. It's like these are signifiers of Japanese culture that
Sure.
they're. And I guess probably my daughter a bit more. Like again, that's because like I guess my son's preference for English. I've noticed him glomp on more to things like he'll watch things like Teen Titans or Bat Wheels, like a vehicle version of Batman that's that I think Nickelodeon or whatever plays clips on YouTube. Like he usually watches YouTube, not on.
Okay.
I try and get them to not use like. I prefer them to like go to Disney or to Netflix
Sure.
just to watch the actual
Yeah.
full thing.
Yeah.
But he seems to like to go to the clip shows that are showing up on YouTube and watch those instead. It's a common babysitter. I've noticed for like again when like my mother-in-law, my Vietnamese mother-in-law is watching them, or I watch some of the other Vietnamese or Nepalese kids that they're around, and it's like, yeah, parents just seem to stick YouTube in front of them.
Yeah, it's a bit of a crutch, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Hey, we got a little gimmick here we're doing today. If you reach into the hat and pull out a question
All right.
and read it back to me and try to answer the best you can.
Are you raising your child bilingual? If so, what's been the biggest challenge?
Wow, okay.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
yes, we are. We're raising them trilingual.
Yeah.
And we are certainly making the effort to expose them to all 3 languages. And what's the biggest challenge is, I think it gets down to both kids are different. I think in my daughter's case, because she's older, it's maybe a bit of taking, especially actually with English, taking it more seriously instead of something that's a casual thing. Or,
Sure.
in terms of like actually doing like lessons with her, and like there'll be a bit of lack of effort just because it's like it's not fun, and but she's got that same issue with kanji, and it's kind of like it's not fun, so she tries to slough it off, and it's like, no honey, you need to do your kanji. And with my son, it's the fact that he's obviously more so than my daughter ever showed. He's obviously showing a mixture. Like he seems to be mixing and matching quite a bit, which probably augurs well in the long term, in terms of his language acquisition and his use of it. But in the short term, it means that it can be a bit jumbled and
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. Would you say it's smooth sailing overall, or more challenge than joy?
I don't know if it's definitely not smooth sailing, but at the same time, it's interesting to watch. It's interesting to watch them kind of pick up the language, picking up on their own terms in a lot of respect, watching, getting frustrated when they don't improve, and then watching them to finally, like, I think again with my daughters, like finally starting to see some improvement on her writing, finally English writing.
Oh, nice.
It's been kind of sloppy for so long because, again, not really making it, like, yeah, she's a kid, so I'm not too. My wife's a bit more harder on her than I am, but it's like she's a kid still. But like starting to see her make a bit more of an effort to use those proper letters and all that, and that started to show up more in the last 6 months, 2 years. So, yeah,
Well, somebody's got to be hard nosed about it, right?
oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Appreciate your time.
No problem.
I know you got stuff to do, so yeah.
All right.
Thanks again, Darcy.
All right, thank you, Joel.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug while you're here?
I should plug my wife's efforts. My wife, this is her Japanese business card. I always have to remind myself. It's FURA, Fukuoka International Residents Association, that my wife runs. And it's mainly run during the week. I believe currently she's got, the schedule moves around a little bit, but currently it's Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday is like a learning space. I'd say not a center, more like a learning space that's organized at the Little Asia Plaza in Yoshizuka, Hakataku, where kids that are, I mean, Japanese kids are welcome too, but it's usually like not like most of our kids are either Vietnamese or Nepalese. I think we've had a couple of Chinese as well. Mostly actually from the area, because actually where we live has a lot of non-Japanese residents in our area in Yoshizuka.
Okay.
So they come there to learn usually Japanese and English, and I don't know about Nepalese being taught, but Vietnamese is taught sometimes too. And then my wife has kind of partnered up with a Shokudo, a lunch place on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
As well. That's a bit of a learning center too. So that's kind of that.
Sounds like good support for our international community then.
Yeah, and I know that she's working hard at that and trying to expand both its notoriety to get more people to support it and kind of organize more activities and such around it too. So
awesome. That's great. Very noble cause.
No, thanks.
Well, again, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Joel.
All right, cheers.
All right, cheers.
Big moment for the Dad Club Japan podcast. We have our first mom. Welcome.
Welcome.
Tell us your name.
My name is Katie Kato.
Lovely to meet you, Katie.
Lovely to meet you, Duncan and Joel.
This is my co-host,
Yeah.
Joel. So tell us what we really don't know. What is it like being a mom in Japan?
That's a great question.
Speak freely.
I don't know what it's like to be a mom in another country because I've only ever been a mom in Japan.
There we go.
So I can't really compare it, but I think being a mom is great. And I think it's easy to be a mom in Japan, but then it's also difficult because I think there's a lot of like things you think you have to do, but maybe that exists in every country.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Give us some context. How many people are you a mum to?
I have 2 children.
Okay.
Yeah, my son is in 2nd grade.
Okay.
And my daughter's in 5th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's elementary school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elementary
Perfect. Okay.
school.
Perfect. All right. Well, you may have to slightly adapt, but would you
Yeah.
like to choose a question?
Yeah.
Go on.
My first podcast is the Dads in Japan podcast.
Perfect. I love it.
All
Right.
What's one dad win that made you feel like a superhero?
All right.
We
So-
can change
change
it
that.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
one mum
Yeah.
win?
What's
Yeah,
one
mums
mom?
can be superheroes too. So.
What's one mom win that made me feel like a superhero? Is just when my I can't think of like one particular moment.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think just when my kids like want to hang out with me. No, but like when they tell me cool stuff, or when I just feel like just being their friend, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
For context, how old are your kids?
Like my daughter's 11.
11. Sorry,
Yeah.
just one.
My daughter's 11. My son is 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
11,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So I just feel like we won because they like to hang out with me. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they're getting to the age where maybe they're wanting to hang out with you less, or they're just finding other things that they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that happens. Then I think they still think I'm cool.
Hmm?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I like that. Yeah. I think they still think I'm cool.
Do you see any differences in the way that you parent to maybe your Japanese mum friends?
Yeah. I'm totally different. Yeah. I'm just like, I just took my kids actually to Hawaii, and I was like a little tipsy on the beach with him. And I was like, I'm not the perfect Japanese mom, but I'm a good mom.
Okay.
And then they were like, looked at each other like, okay. But then they like kind of were like, yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Are you children bicultural, or are you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what your husband?
Yeah, my
is?
husband's Japanese.
Okay.
But he's not very typical, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we're a little bit wild, I think, of a family. Yeah. And
Okay.
we travel a lot, so that's different, I think, than other families.
Sure.
I work a lot more, I think, than a lot of other Japanese moms, although there are a lot of moms that work as well.
Mm.
So it's really, I think that's the hardest thing. I can't take my kids to all the like after school activities, and I don't have, my mother-in-law can't drive, so I don't have anyone to help out.
Right.
So that was a struggle, I guess. But figured stuff out, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. And
I mean, something, we're the same.
Yeah.
Our only experience of being dads, parents, has been here in Japan, but sort of friends back home, or remembering when I was a kid, something that we've talked about before that I've struggled with is I haven't found it that easy to make other like friends with my kids' friends' parents kind of thing. Like, there's not as much of that, oh, we're going over to so-and-so's house and so-and-so's doing that. Have you found, obviously we're seeing it from a dad angle, which, to be honest, there's not that many dads coming to the school for me to meet. It's mainly mums, and I understand there's a bit of a jump there. Like, not only am I international, but I'm also a male, so it's maybe I'm interested for you. Have you got a
I think,
good community? Or?
with my daughter's friends' parents, I think they were all scared of me, and they didn't want, I'm not even kidding, like, it was weird, and they didn't really want their kids to hang out at my house ever. And I kind of just thought that was they were just, we do live in the countryside, so
Right.
I'm a little bit weird and like don't really fit in. And so that was hard to accept, I think, but then I just accepted it. But my son, like all his friends' moms are super cool, and I mean, we're not like super good friends or anything, but I think with my daughter's friends, when they were all scared to talk to me or didn't want their kids to drive in the car with me or like things like that.
Wow.
And then, but my son's friends' moms, like, I feel like they don't even think that I'm different.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, I think my son's friends' moms are just so chill. They're like, oh yeah, like our kids just go to each other's houses and play, and it's totally different.
So your son just has the better taste in friends, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think they have a lot of choice because it's like the neighborhood moms and stuff.
Sure,
but
sure.
it just worked out that way.
Yeah.
But it like saved my image of,
That's cool.
like I felt like, not saved my image, but how I perceived moms in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any challenges living in the countryside for your children? Or do they get enough exposure to things that you want them to? Or
That's a good question. I think like I used to always be worried about that kind of stuff. Like, are my kids getting enough exposure, or are they going to feel different, or all those things? And then I guess for our family, I guess we're fortunate because we travel a lot. I don't know if we have enough money to travel a lot. We just do. But it's kind of my hobby. Yeah. So I think because my kids travel, that it makes them feel special to be who they are. And then I think because we travel, that they get that extra exposure of the world and stuff, so they're not so and then we also we have Airbnb.
okay.
Yeah, and when we first started, we let people stay inside our home actually.
Ah.
And when it was cheap like that,
Yeah.
we had lots of people from all over the world come stay at our house, and I think that was really good
That's
for
great.
my kids.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of opened their worlds, and so I think we show our kids all the things that maybe we think they're lacking or something. But I'm very thankful for like Japanese elementary school education system. I think it's really nice, and my kids are really happy, and like they're proud of who they are, and they like their friends. So I think it was a lot of like, I think when I first became a mom in Japan, I like compared. And I think that's a really bad thing to do. And I compared, and my mom wants me to do this with my kids, and my mother-in-law wants me to do this with my kids, and it was like this really battle that I had. And then all of a sudden I was like, I'm just gonna do my way, and then that's what I did. So I'm different, do it my way, but I'm happy. I think my kids are happy, and my husband's happy, I think. So,
Great.
yeah.
Sounds like you're winning. Sounds like you're the superhero.
I'm a superhero
Yeah.
mom.
So we are at this expo today. So have you got something you want to plug? Something that maybe people would be interested in? Should we come and stay at your Airbnb? Whereabouts is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, we have two Airbnbs. They're in Aichi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On the Atsumi Peninsula. It's in Tahara. My house is in Tashi, but our house, it's just the house next to ours. It's
Okay.
actually like 160 years old, maybe.
Wow.
And my husband does like design and renovation, so he renovated that. And then we just opened a new one, actually.
Oh, exciting.
On the tip of the peninsula.
Wow.
And it has like a bay view.
Oh,
yeah.
cool.
And it has a swimming pool and a
Oh,
sauna.
okay. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, it has a swimming pool, sauna. It's like a party house. It's really
Right.
awesome. Like record player lounge in the upstairs.
It's right up your alley,
I'm
isn't
definitely
it?
in now. Is there like an easy name to find it? Has it got a
It's called
catchy name?
The Cape.
The Cape.
Cape.
Art Hotel Iraga.
Okay.
But
There
it's
you
just
go.
a one
Okay.
big rental, even though it's called hotel. Yeah,
Cool.
and it has art. It's like tons of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you book with the Dad Club thing, you get a 10%. No.
I don't know how to do that.
No, we don't either. We
Yeah.
don't either. Well, thanks so much, Katie. And please
thank
choose
you.
yourself a little reward there. There's something sweet. There's something alcoholic. There's something energy. What would you like? Choose.
I'll have a chocolate.
A chocolate. All right. Thanks for your time,
Thanks for
Katie.
your time.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thanks.
Bye, Dad.
All right. Hey, we're back, and we have another new guest. And can you introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Matt, and I'm, I guess, a dad.
You guess. All right. I would hope
am-
that you know one way or the other.
Yes, no, I'm a dad.
Great.
Been a
yeah.
dad for many years,
Awesome.
19 years.
Wow, 19. All right.
3 kids.
Yep. 3. Okay.
Yeah.
And do they? They're bicultural, I guess.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
American dad, that's me, and my wife is Japanese.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we got a little gimmick. I know we're short on time, so if you reach into the hat there and pull out a card and read it back to me.
If there was an Olympic event for dads in Japan, what would you definitely win?
I have an idea of what I think you would win, but that's just only because I know you.
Oh, that's a tough one. Like, in the sense of like being a dad.
Yeah, in the sense of, I guess, what are you good at that you can pass along to your kids that would make you like the ultimate coach? I guess I don't know. It's the first time I've seen this question. So
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, grab another one.
Have you ever misunderstood something in Japanese and accidentally embarrassed? It just ends right there.
Oh, okay.
Embarrassed yourself or my family?
Yeah, it's open for interpretation.
Man, these are harder questions than I was imagining.
Yeah. You can take a new one if you want. 3 times. lucky,
Okay,
right?
let's
go. It's all, no hard and fast
I'm not a
rules here.
particularly smart dad. Have you ever faced challenges as a foreign dad in Japan? How did you handle them?
There we go.
I honestly think just living in Japan as a foreign dad is a challenge the entire time you're here. I don't think the challenges ever end, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Because even at this point, like going to my kids' school, you know, I can't talk to their teacher. It's my fault. I can speak Japanese pretty well, but I can't talk to the teacher the way I might be able to talk to a teacher, like if it was in the States
Sure.
or something like that.
Yep.
And sometimes there's some issues. If my kids have issues with friends or teachers or whatever, yeah, I can't handle it the way I'd be able to handle it in the States.
Sure.
And maybe if my Japanese is a lot better, but it's also culturally, like I don't really know how to approach it sometimes. And maybe I would get angry and my wife would be like, just chill out, you know, like, you know, that's not how you deal with things here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just a challenge,
Ongoing.
but it's a good challenge. Like I enjoy the challenge and, yeah, just try to do my best and keep learning. It never ends.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. I know we're
Yeah,
short on
sure,
time.
Joel.
So,
Yeah.
glad you finally got you on here.
Yeah.
Maybe another time for something more in depth and less personal. So.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks.
Joel. Take
Appreciate
care.
it.
Bye-bye.
Can you introduce yourself? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Morrow. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Jeff. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I'm from Kumamoto, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So it's great to be in Fukuoka.
Good.
Cool.
And you're a dad?
I am. I'm a dad. Yeah.
How many little people do you have, or maybe not so little people in your life?
They're not little anymore, right? I have one little one
Yeah.
who's my daughter's boy. So I'm actually a grandpa.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Wow.
Yeah.
And maybe our first grandpa on the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I feel honored.
And we
then.
also
There
had
go.
our first mum today as
Yep.
well. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
great.
really?
Great
Yeah.
taking ground
Pretty
today.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we have had
excellent.
one son and we've had one daughter. So I think we got the whole set. Oh, we need a grandma now.
Yes.
Your grandma. Let me look around here.
We
I
might
don't
find
know.
one. We might find one. And Jeff, have your kids been raised the whole time in Japan?
Pretty much the
Yeah.
whole time in Japan. Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And you're
My-
saying one of them is just on his way to finishing university? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
he's
Yeah.
on his way to finishing university, right?
Yeah.
The youngest one. Yeah, medical school, actually.
Here in
yeah.
Japan?
Yeah, in Japan, in
Wow.
Kumamoto, right?
Wow.
So
Cool.
he just took the tests to become a doctor, and he's
Fantastic.
off in Europe now, traveling on
Fantastic.
backpacking trips. So,
Well deserved break from many years of studying, I imagine.
totally. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
relieving a lot of stress, I think. Yeah.
Jeff,
Yes.
pick a question.
You can pick a new one.
Yeah,
or
or you can grab a new one if you want.
Yeah, or you want to do the
A
same
mystery.
one. Yeah.
Really?
What do you got?
Well, okay.
Change.
I can change. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think I'm gonna go with the one dad win. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
I've had a couple of
All right.
dad wins.
Read it out
but,
first, just so the listeners know what you're answering.
What's one dad win that made you feel like a superhero?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got my son right riding motorcycles with me, basically.
Ooh.
Yeah. Back in the day, right? And he was so nervous. He just did not want to get on, right? And I got him to get on the motorcycle and hold on, and we went to supersonic speeds, and he hung on for dear life, but he loved it. I think it changed his perception. Yeah, it changed his life. So
That sounds
was
like a
cool.
win.
That's good.
Yeah, you're speaking my
That's good.
language here. I rode bikes too.
Oh,
Do you-
cool.
Do you ride
Cool.
now or?
Actually, no, I haven't been for a while, right? I had a Honda CB400,
Okay.
which was great.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
For a while. Yeah, I kind of retired from it, but it was great.
Sure.
When I did it. Yeah, of course.
How did your wife feel about you riding bikes?
Yeah, she did not like it. Yeah, one bit.
Yeah, go figure,
Right. Go figure. Right. So, I wouldn't mind having a smaller one, right? To just zoom around here and there. So I'm thinking about that. Yeah.
And does your son now have a bike or?
No, he doesn't.
No.
Thinking about it. Yeah,
Okay.
thinking about it. But
And you
not
would be
yet.
okay with that, and no.
I would be okay with it. Right. I just realize how fun it is. It's just super freeing, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's just great. Feeling
sure.
the wind just rushing through you. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm a little older now, so if something were to happen, I think it might
Right.
not recover as quickly, So
Yep.
thinking about those things now.
Definitely. And maybe you can give us some background into you. Or what is it that you currently do?
Sure. Yeah, I teach at Kumamoto Prefectural University.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the Environmental and Symbiotic Sciences Department, and also in the Center for General Education. And I have a research room that we focus on ecotourism and environmental education.
Wow.
I teach English there, of course, too. So yeah.
Oh,
And
great.
I was made professor 3 years ago, so I'm happy about
congratulations.
that. Yeah, thank you.
Sweet.
So
Awesome.
10-year track, but I have to retire in 4 years. So you get to the peak, and then you have to stop. So
Yeah.
but it's great.
Do you have any plans for after you retire?
Actually, I'd like to do something along the lines of English school, perhaps. In Kumamoto, I started a bar. Actually,
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 20 years ago now, 25 years ago actually, that I retired from.
Right.
Yeah, I sold it, but That was just a great experience. It was super fun.
Did it have a
yeah.
specific focus? Like, was it international?
International bar. It was Jeff's World Bar was the name of it. Yeah, so it's still there. I'm just not the owner, but it was just a great experience.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just, I love that kind of thing, just inviting people in, just to have a great time, chill out, relax, and things like that. Yeah, so
If you still had that bar, I think that would be a place where we'd take some of our members here. I think it's a good place to go.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Tristan came there a lot when he was in Kumamoto.
Right.
Yeah. So that'd be cool.
There's that connection.
Yeah, indeed. Fun. So something like that, or English school related, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Coffee shop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I'm not ready to settle down.
No.
Quite
No.
yet.
No. Don't do it.
No way. Jeff, thanks so much.
Yeah,
Please
thank you.
choose a reward from our reward
wow.
pile. There is something sweet, something alcoholic, something with energy. Whatever
The
you'd
alcoholic one sounds good.
Like. Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
by all means.
There we go.
Well, thanks for your time, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Still
Okay.
cold.
It's a
Still
great
cold. Look at that.
It is.
It is. There you go.
It's awesome.
All right.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jeff.
guys.
Cheers.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no
All right.
worries.
Tell us your name.
My name's Greg.
And you're a dad.
I am.
How many little people or not so little people do you have?
I've got a daughter who's 16 and a son who's 13.
Wow, a 16-year-old daughter. That scares me already.
Yeah, she's pretty good actually. Actually, she's probably the adult in the family.
Right, yeah, I heard you say that earlier. Well, dive in there. We've got a question for you. If you don't like it, you can change it.
All right. I saw some of these questions earlier actually. I thought some of them were quite challenging.
You like a challenge, you're all right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's changed one.
Okay. I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but maybe that's why it's an interesting one. Have you considered international school, public school, or homeschool?
Yeah,
and why?
good.
Probably when my kids were obviously toddlers, we considered the international school thing. I live in a fairly rural area in Japan. I'm from Wakayama, and we actually went and scoped out a few international schools. And to be quite honest, there's obviously a scarcity of international schools in an area like that. And we went and scoped some of them out. So we live in Wakayama, we live in northern Wakayama, so we're not that far south of South Osaka.
Right.
So kind of the closest places were in South Osaka kind of thing, which was still quite a commute for us, number one. And we went and had a look at some of the places as well. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't overly impressed with kind of the structure of the school and like some of the money that some of these schools kind of ask for. You expect something in return, and being a school owner yourself and having been in the education business for quite a long time, you have got probably more of an idea of what a realistic expectation is compared to maybe normal parents.
Yep.
If you know what I'm talking about. And the places that we went and visited, I just didn't really think that they were on their game enough to justify, number one, the money that they charged, and number two, just somewhere to send your child. That was what I sort of felt like. So we canned that idea. Also, for me personally, I think parents kind of worry too much about things a lot. I think a lot of the time, if you just, and maybe I'm wrong, this is only my take on it, but one thing I think about a lot, right, with kids, this is getting off the track a little bit, but
It's all right.
one thing I think about a lot with kids from my own personal experience is that, and this doesn't necessarily apply to my children, but as an educator myself and with all the experience of how many kids that I've seen, and when I was a kid as well, as a child, my own experience as a child, I know that, education systems don't fit all children. All children don't thrive necessarily in an education system. And I think a lot about kids that I went to school with who didn't thrive in the education system, but now, being my age, there's a lot of those kids that when I catch up with them now, have gone on to become incredibly successful entrepreneurs or absolute animals in the business world, or whatever field they've chosen to go into, have become incredibly successful. So I think, like a lot of my theory with, as parents, we all worry about our kids. We naturally want our kids to be okay and all that sort of stuff. But I think that at the end, and from my own experience as well, right? In the way that I went to university once when I got out of school, and it was a dismal failure. I was basically a screw up at university and kind of dropped out after the first year, just wasted a heap of my parents' money. And, you know, as you get older, you reflect on those things and realise what a disservice you've done to your own parents. And secondly, and then I went back as a mature age student and studied computer science. And then I ended up coming to Japan and starting a language school. The stuff I learned at university, I think, has served me very well. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think in life, it's the fight in the dog, not the dog in the fight.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really, really big thing with kids. So, I mean, I've really gone off on a tangent
That's great.
compared to what the original question was.
Yeah.
But I just think, like, one of the jobs of being a successful parent, I think, is really to teach your kids to be independent. And I think the most important thing as a parent to teach your kids, which is really difficult, and I haven't worked it out, I'm not saying that I've worked it out, but is to instill a desire in your kids and to help your kids find what they really want to do. Because I know from my personal experience, I've tried a lot of different things in life, and it's only really the things that I intrinsically wanted to succeed at that I've become very successful at.
So true.
Yeah, I've wanted to do it for myself. Like, you know, I don't want my kids to do anything for me or for their mother or for their brother or anything like, or for their sister.
Yep.
I want them to do it for themselves. And I
Yeah.
think that's the really important thing, is to find something that you want to do for yourself.
Awesome.
Yep.
And how we teach our kids to do that, I'm still on a learning trajectory with that one. But I think that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Awesome.
So,
That's music to my ears right there. You know, that's I think that's what that will resonate with a lot of people.
yeah,
You know.
it's hard, but you know, I guess that's what we all aspire to do, isn't it? You know,
Yep.
breed
Yeah.
healthy, independent children that, you know, everyone wants to be needed, but the ultimate goal is not to be needed. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you've done your job correctly, I think. So
Yeah.
we'll keep
That's
trying.
awesome.
Well, look, thanks for your time. We've both got to
Yeah.
run off to the next expo.
Yeah.
Anything you want to plug? We do have a lot of people listening who own schools and the teachers.
Oh, I don't really
No?
want to plug anything
No?
on your podcast.
Alright.
Yeah, I'm
No.
just happy to. Thank you for inviting me to contribute to the podcast. It's
Awesome.
been great. Cheers,
Oh,
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Whoa, what a day, Joel.
Oh, yeah, it's been very enlightening. We've talked to some very interesting people here, and
Yeah, and we've
you
had some firsts.
yes, some first. We had our first mother
Yeah.
on the podcast,
Which was
Yep.
great. Really
Yeah.
interesting getting her insights. And
Yeah.
then our first senior dad of a dad, granddad,
Yeah,
grandpa.
Yeah.
That was interesting too.
I would say the majority of the guests we've had on here have kids that are kind of in the older range.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what that's indicative of. Maybe it's kind of senior members of business community, perhaps.
Yep, and I would say they look a lot more relaxed than we do, so that gives me some hope. for the
yeah,
future.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So-
but it's been great
Yeah.
hearing different perspectives and just making new connections and getting some more listeners, and hopefully people are going to find insight into their cultural experiences and raising kids in Japan. You know?
I hope so.
Yeah,
It's been fun.
yeah, exactly. Well, thanks, Duncan.
Thank you, Joel, and
Yeah.
thanks to you guys for listening and
Cheers.
watching.
Yeah. Ciao.
See ya.